Groovy.
Welcome to countdownmemories.com. We are here with Mr. Chris Doheny from Geisha.
Hey Jason.
How are you today?
Good. Bit of a sore throat, but I'm okay.
Getting to the early years, how did you get into music? When and who were your kind of early influences?
Sure. Well, I started playing music very young, about 6 years old. Started studying piano until I was about 12. And then one of my mates at school said, by the time I turned 13, this mate was learning guitar. And he said, look, we can meet girls if we go to this guitar school. And I said, oh, really? Is that how you do it? Because we went to a boys' school. There were only boys, right? It was very difficult to meet the opposite sex. So we went down, he dragged me down to this guitar school, and that's how it all started, the guitar thing. Within a couple of years, we'd sort of formed a band and moved on from there. And my biggest influences were the Beatles, John Lennon in particular, Deep Purple.
Was this like late 60s, early 70s?
No, this was about 74, 75.
Early 70s.
Yeah. And so, bands like that. Who else? Lou Reed.
Cool.
All sorts of bands. Later in the 70s, Cheap Trick were a fairly big influence, but always the Beatles from beginning to end.
Okay. And what was that first band you formed called?
Eagle High.
Eagle High. Did you record any stuff or just play?
Pardon me, no, we didn't record any stuff. We actually went into the ABC studios at 3LO when I was about 15 and recorded stuff. 3LO, oh, do you remember that?
It sounds very familiar.
Well, you may be a bit young back in those days.
I was young. I was born in 75, but 3LO sounds familiar to me.
Well,
did it keep going till?
Well, it's no longer there.
I'm sure.
It used to be on the corner of Lonsdale.
I remember a sticker of 3LO.
Yeah. Oh, it still exists. It still exists. It's just located at South Bank now.
Okay.
Because Red Simons has a show on 3LO, I think.
Oh, does he?
In the morning. I think so. Don't quote me on that. But.
All right.
So yeah.
Okay. Now, growing up, did you watch shows like Countdown? Or?
No, because Countdown didn't start until 74, 75.
Yeah.
So no, there wasn't a lot of music stuff that you could watch. But when it did start, of course, we all used to watch it. We used to gather around the telly on a Sunday night because there was no internet. You know, there was no really anything to get your jollies off on with regards to music. So we used to gather around the telly on Sunday night and watch the latest bands, and usually at that time it was bands like Skyhooks. They were massive on Countdown, I remember. Hush.
Yeah.
Ted Mulligan, one of my favourites. Good old Ted. Drag and what great songs. All those bands we used to love sitting and watching. And of course Sounds, I think it was Sounds Incorporated in the 70s.
Donny Sutherland. Yeah.
With Donny, he was great too. What a great guy. And Night Moves, of course, Friday nights.
Lee Simon.
When I moved from horror movies to music, on a Friday night.
Oh, okay. Now, apparently the name Geisha and the whole influence of the Japanese thing that you wanted to do, is it true that it had something to do with your father in World War II? Fighting in Japan?
Yeah, Dad was massively into Japan, and he spent a lot of time there. He was in the war in the Australian Navy during World War II, and then after the war finished in 45, he spent time there in Japan, like as America, Australia, we all had troops there, to clean up and re-establishing all their infrastructure, and that's where he got a love for the Japanese culture, and he brought it back. And when we were growing up, he was always talking about it. He spent time over there. I never got to go, but so it was always in my mind. And then there was also in the early 80s with bands, there was an interest in Japanese culture.
I was actually going to bring that up, actually.
Just in general.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring up the fact that it's actually quite good you tapped into that, because Japanese culture from, especially like, say, 81 to 84.
Absolutely.
Really big.
Like you had in excess, original sin,
with the whole Japanese thing. And then you had like Sunny and the Sunsets, you had Japan, and you had even like a band called Pall Mall from Sydney.
Yep.
So yeah, you had a lot of Japanese influences. So
and I think there's another 3 geishas around the world even today, bands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's one in Norway. I think there's another band called Geisha Boys in America.
Okay. Cool. And originally the name was called Geisha Detail?
It was, yeah. There was an original lineup we started late 1983, mid to late 1983. And the band consisted of a drummer, Chris Doheny, who later was the drummer for the Bad Loves.
Oh, okay.
Years later, and a bunch of other people. that didn't work out, so I wanted to put a new band together. That's when the original recording lineup was put together. Eventually, over about the course of a year, we went through about 2 different bass players until my brother joined, and a couple of drummers until Peter joined. Ken joined pretty early, I think, at the start of '84. He was introduced to me by a friend of ours, an agent called Bernie Michaels. Okay. So that's what happened then. So 84, 85.
Did someone have the name Geisha Detail?
That's what you were alluding to. Yeah, they did. The original guitarist from Geisha Detail had registered the name unbeknownst to me. So when I put the new lineup together, as soon as we got a record deal, we got a call from him. He waited until there was money, sniffing around for money.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, I really liked this guy too. He was a nice guy, so I was a bit surprised. Anyway, he said, you can have the name Geisha Detail for $15,000. And $15,000 in 1984 to an unemployed musician was just,
ridiculous.
You couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And wouldn't do it anyway. You've got to be joking. So after a bit of advice from some people in the biz, they said, just drop the detail.
Yeah.
Rename the band Geisha and make it a lot simpler.
What was the detail kind of added for?
Well,
because Geisha actually sounds better.
I agree. We were trying to make it sound a little bit, military.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember why.
Oh.
We sort of wore army shirts and khakis and tape around our legs like Japanese soldiers or something.
Cool.
Some silly thing young guys do.
All right. Now you formed in '83, obviously. You hit kind of big on the scene in '85.
Yeah, particularly Melbourne.
Now, from the period of '83 to '85, like how did you get signed? How did that all kind of come about?
Well, yeah, I mean it was a hard slog. The year of '84, we went in and spent all our hard-earned coin doing demos. In fact, one of our early demos was done by a guy named David Briggs, guitar player from Little River Band, who also ran a label. And that struck up a long-term relationship with David, actually. But we thought, because he was running a label, if we do some demos, maybe we can get him to put us on his label.
Okay.
That didn't work out. We did some more demos. We were actually about to throw the towel in at one stage later in '84 when we got a call. We'd actually had a call from Warner Brothers and EMI Records. And a guy named Michael Matthews rung us up and said, look, you've sent us a tape, but there's nothing on it. And this is a true story. Everyone thinks we've made it up.
There's nothing on it.
It's a true story.
Okay.
And for some reason, if I was a record company guy, I'd just take the empty tape and say, forget it. If you guys haven't got your shit together enough to send us a tape with something on it. So I don't know how that happened, but he got in contact with us and we sent him a proper tape, and he liked it. So that caught his attention, and he came down to a place called the Grain Store in King Street to see us play, and he came every week for a month. And Warner Brothers were there too, but EMI ended up offering us a better deal, and we signed for a single deal to begin with, and we recorded Fool's Way, Kabuki, and Eastern Lovers.
Oh, cool.
And the EMI chose Fool's Way as our first single after much deliberation. They mucked
That's
around
actually
with it
my
so
favourite
much.
Geisha.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad you like that one.
Love Fool's Way.
Thank you.